Going to Kansas City, Kansas City I go. I'm on to Kansas City, Kansas City here I go. They got a crazy way of loving, I'm gonna get me some. I'm gonna be standing on the corner, 12th Street and Vine. I'm gonna be standing on the corner, 12th Street and Vine, with my Kansas City baby and a bottle of Kansas City wine. Well, I might take a plane, might take a train. If I have to walk, it's gonna be the same. I'm on to Kansas City, Kansas City I go. They got a crazy way of loving, I'm gonna get no song. They got a crazy way of loving, I'm gonna get me some. Welcome to episode number 1 of The Whole Note. My name is Triscore, as you can see right there on the screen in front of you. And I am here to talk a little bit about the accordion and some things that we've been doing, and hopefully even provide a little bit of education. First of all, I am the sole person operating this. I'm the cameraman. I am the switcher here. I am the lighting person and the player. So we're going to just move along as best we can. Make a screen change here. I'd like to welcome you to Augusta Dream Studio. Augusta Dream Studio is a full functioning multi-room studio that is built and was built in the lower level of my home. I use it mainly now for recording and doing some mastering and tracking work. Primarily, though, it's dedicated to almost all technology. It's been a dream of mine for quite some time, and I have to say, I really appreciate you taking the time to stop by, listen, and visit for a while. So let's go ahead and move on. So why the whole note? You know, when I started thinking about this and talking with other people, in the accordion community, we've been experiencing a lot of great entertainment. We're in some really unprecedented times. I mean, with the pandemic that seems to be rapidly up, down, in between, we're just scooting along and reopening now and facing our challenges there. We wanted also, as part of Gary Dahl, The Legacy Continues, or as I say, GDTLC for short, we wanted to be able to give back, and this is our chance to give back, and especially during some challenging times. The other thing that we're looking at is we're all going to have to adapt to a potential, and I still say a potential, new way of entertaining, educating, and enjoying the instruments that we love. We can get together, we can share some tips, we can share some tricks, help for all musicians, no matter what you play. If you're a multi-instrument or multi-instrumentalist, as I am, there's a lot we can all share and learn from each other. How are we going to do it also? We want to provide a series of episodes that talks about both the acoustic and digital accordions. I happen to be playing wonderful Bugari Evo digital accordion today. It's a wonderful instrument. I enjoy it immensely. And, so hopefully I can share a few things that I've learned about the digital accordion. We always have focused on one thing since the very beginning, and that is our audience is always number one. Without you folks out there, without you going to our website, without you, buying our arrangements, and helping us. We would not be able to help you. And so, what we do in considering that our audience is always number one, we want to incorporate all of your requests into our future episodes. So, if you've got comments, please leave them below. These are things that we can talk about in upcoming episodes and give us a chance to see if we can help you, and then you can help us. The other thing that we're going to do is we're going to make sure and have guests. There's no better way to share by inviting those who are both professionals and people who are hobbyists, people who just love the instrument in the accordion world, and also those who are part of the larger music world that have the experience and that knowledge to share, teach, and benefit all of us. The other thing, too, is we don't really care about experience and your background and what your resumes say. Everybody gets a chance here to offer their ideas and suggestions. We'll also work with any groups interested in achieving their goals because they help us achieve ours. We'll offer technology-based segments that will help those who may be challenged by the product offerings available. It's a nice way of saying it gets rough a little bit out there, especially when you put on an accordion for the first time, be it an acoustic or a digital accordion. You're looking and you say, oh, what did I get myself into? So now about GDTLC. A lot of people have asked, and a lot of folks don't know that Gary Dahl, who was a teacher, my teacher for 5 years just prior to his up to his passing. But that's when Dennis O'Toole and I got together and we decided, Gary had dedicated his life to the accordion. He dedicated, all of his time and effort, especially in the last 20 plus years of his life, to writing arrangements for the accordion community, writing the books and courses, okay, for Mel Bay, and just in giving and teaching, all the students that Gary had. And I'm actually blessed to have a lot of those students who have continued on with me. So what we needed to do, we felt, was to carry on Gary's legacy and move it forward. So what did we do? We created an entirely new look. Our website has been refined, it's been changed, and the man behind the scenes there, I can't say enough thanks to Dennis O'Toole, who is my right hand, literally, when it comes to all things GDTLC. We're continuing to offer and expand upon the arrangement and collection. Now, unfortunately, I'm not retired from a day job, so I have to fit all this into a narrow window and schedule, as some of you may know. But we're not quite as quick at getting the arrangements out there, but I do write them, and we plan on moving more in that direction towards the last parts of 2020, and then, of course, into 2021. And then finally, one thing that Gary was not a big fan of was technology, and we are. Obviously, from having a recording studio here and being involved in technology for my entire life, I'm very fond of it. Dennis himself works in the IT field, so obviously he is surrounded by technology. So we want to be able to incorporate that through our new and upcoming digital sound offerings, the UPGs, which you're actually hearing today for the first time. This is a series that will be coming out on September 30th. If you watch our website, you will see our offerings and when they will be actually available. And our efforts, again, I wanted to continue and improve upon the teaching methods offered by Gary. I have a wonderful group of students, great people, all of them that are just moving along and advancing and having fun and enjoying this wonderful instrument. And so bringing it to the next level and trying to work with new course materials, things that are a little bit more in line with what current teachings are and other instruments is something that we work on all the time. The other thing we promised is that we would always promote the instrument in a professional manner and never, ever sacrifice quality. So how do we do part of what we do? Well, like I said in the beginning, one thing we're all about is we are all about giving back. And part of that is we are running an August promotion. We ran this promotion back in, I don't know, I think it was maybe February or March or something, but we decided, hey, everybody's stuck inside, and it is the Stuck Inside special. And what we want to do, I'm going to put that up on the screen right now. And if you're tired of being stuck inside, there's no better time to practice, is there? We all need practice. So what we're going to do is from August 8th through the 16th, and that's a pretty narrow window there, but we're giving you about a week, we are offering any arrangement in our collection, no matter what, regardless of what tier, where it's at, or the cost, we're going to give you one arrangement, absolutely no strings attached, completely free. The only thing that we ask you to do is just join our mailing list. And then tell us the name of the song, and all the instructions are up there on the screen. So while you get your pencil out or you grab your screenshots, or even if you're going to freeze this particular portion, what I'd like to do is play an arrangement that's near and dear to my heart that Gary wrote by Henry Mancini called Moon River. what a beautiful arrangement. So I hope everybody got everything copied down there because we're going to move on through now. So one thing I'd like to do is talk just a little bit about our technology that's currently being used here at GDTLC. As you can see, there is on my left, there is the Bugari Evo digital accordion. Next to that, my beloved Borsini Superstar accordion. And then back on the right there, you can see on the left, that's my first ever 120 bass accordion that goes way back. It would be way back. And next to that, my beloved Cordovox, which I can still play to this day. As far as when I'm running the Bugari Evo or the Roland 8X, which I have as well, largely for programming purposes. I do all my programming on the 8X, but I do run it through this pedal board of sorts that I created some time ago for actually portability more than anything, even though it doesn't look as portable. But a couple of highlights of that is, first of all, I run everything completely wireless. So all cables and everything are limited to what's on the board, which has a cover. You put it on, it's got wheels in it, and I'm ready to go and I'm ready to play a gig. Although that doesn't happen quite as much right now in the COVID times. I make use of the Sennheiser XS series wireless transmitters and receivers that you'll see there on the right. They do work very, very well for me. And you'll see the pictures, of course, in there of the FC300 rolling on the pedal board. And I'm going to get a little bit more into detail. You know, what do I really use off of the MIDI controller? Well, first of all, I use a series of both my chin switches and some of the pedals available on the FC300, mainly for the UPG up. I do have that because I have size 12 feet. Okay, so I do have a couple of those programs. So I know if I'm over to the left somewhere, I do stand a pretty good chance of getting my next UPG, which I do tend to build them by the song. So you'll notice that when if I change to a song, I could be using either the foot switch, or if it's more convenient, I will use the chin switches on the Evo or the Roland 8X. I also have a couple more that are programmed for both the UPG down, and then next to that, as you'll see, when I bring those up, I use one for the organ rotor speed, fast and slow. Also, being a keyboard player throughout the course of the years, I did tote around, I should say, the lugging big Hammond organs in its various portable forms. The X5 mainly, and that of course had the dreaded, very heavy Leslie speaker system that went along with it. And so I became a real fan of using that switch for fast and slow. You hear me use it in the beginning when I played Kansas City, and I bring in the organ on top of the piano. You'll notice that I do change from fast to slow rotor speed. It's just something that I've used for several years. You'll also notice too, one thing that in developing the sound set and collections, which I haven't used any acoustic pianos or anything today that has needed it, but I do have to have a sustain pedal, and that's personal. It just works better much for me. I do use, and you heard them all, you heard my buddy, that's a lot of people, really enjoy using some kind of an accompaniment module or backing tracks or something. I don't, those are a little difficult for me to manage. So I just like to have, but I do like my Beat Buddy, which is made by Singular Sound. So I do use a drum machine behind that. And then of course, since I am a one-man band of sorts, you'll notice that I have a TC Helicon vocalizer. Oh, and I didn't point out too that the volume pedal is also very handy on the FC300, as I have over there in the left-hand picture. So let's move on. Wow. Oh boy. So I guess a little bit about me. I haven't talked too much about myself personally, but I have been playing the accordion since the age of 8. I first started playing out professionally when I was 13 years old. That picture on the left happens to be I was 14 at that particular time. Moving on, you can see to the right there, I think I'm about 15 at that particular age. We made a lot of our own stuff, and I made that music stand along with my beloved father, rest in peace, Dad, who was my biggest fan, but under the New Horizon name, and you'll see the Cordovox first appearing there. That was his Super 5 that we had picked up secondhand. But boy, did I love the sound of the Cordovox. As the years progressed, you'll notice that the band got a little bit bigger, the tuxes got a little bit goofier, but boy, we were sure having a great time. As we got older, on the picture on the right, we progressed into lounge band, local entertainment. We were playing roughly 50 weeks a year. A lot of 2, 3, 5, and even 6-night weeks. We were a bunch of teenagers chaperoned by my father, and you'll see some of those pictures as we move through the years. I also say one thing about our band. Gosh, these are some of my beloved best friends here today in that picture. But we actually flourished in the disco era. We were playing multi-nighters, and I always specified that I would have a quarterbox or an accordion along with me. I know that it was something that, in this particular era, in the late 70s, early 80s, things were getting a little bit, people, I don't know about that accordion thing. But I'll tell you, I really enjoyed it, and I always brought it along. Now, did I play it? Probably not. Initially, I would use it just for the bass on the left and play an electric piano or an organ on the right-hand side. Hammond or something, which the Quarterbox didn't have. But my love for the accordion has always stayed there. And then moving into more current years. Okay. That was the last band on the left that I played with up into 2013 before I started to go solely into accordion. And that band, we toured quite frequently up and down. We played a lot of the casino, throughout the United States, and largely up through Michigan and up to the UP. But a bunch of retired, top-notch musicians from Motown era. Our drummer had started with Curtis Mayfield when he was 13 years old in that particular band. The bass player was from Junior Walker and the All-Stars. So we had a really classy lineup there, and I was just wonderfully enthralled to be part of the Classic Soul Band. And then next to that, that would actually have been my last live appearance on January 31st. Yeah, I had that big smile on my face, don't I? But anyway, playing out, and that was a wonderful time too. We had a lot of friends and some fans, and just a lot of people that were exposed to the digital accordion. At that particular night at the country club, we had a record night, and we packed that place from, in fact, they were turning guests away, which is something at least everybody got a chance to experience. What a digital accordion, or what an accordion, and a combination of the two can do. So now, where are we moving into? Each one of our episodes is going to feature what we call the whole tips. And pretty simple, really. A whole tip is just going to focus on something, and then we may expand upon this. In other words, as we get requests from, from people who comment and ask for certain things, we're going to talk about those, and some of these may go over multiple episodes. And I know on the next episode, I really am excited to have Joe Natoli, who's going to be a part of that. Joe will be able to even continue this further. But one of the biggest things that you need to do when you're approaching the instrument or any instrument, and I'm going to say the accordion in general, acoustic or digitals, number one, you have to get comfortable. A lot of people overlook so many of these, just the small items. But, what about your straps? Are your straps adjusted? How about things like posture? Look at Charles Magnante over here in this picture. This goes back, I believe, into the 1930s. But talks about the correct sitting position, location of the, of the keyboard, and these are things that I find that even, myself too, I'll tend to forget about some of this. And so I do take the time, to pay attention to make sure, am I comfortable? Straps, my posture, the position. How about the bellows? When you're dealing with the digital accordion, that's one of the things too. They're a little bit different in how you interact with the bellows, but I do have one rule: no pain. And that all fits into this getting comfortable. So there's no one size that really fits all. You have to take some time and sit down and get to know the instrument, how you feel with it. One of the things that you'll see is a lot of people on the forums or Facebook or, some of the other organizations out there that say, you should do this or you should do that, or you need to have this loose so you can move your hands up and down with a bellows strap. And the one thing that you have to remember is it has to work for you. These are recommendations. Okay, these are recommendations that people are making that you need to adapt that works for you. Most people don't like it, but I keep an extremely tight bass strap. In fact, virtually every accordion I own, I have the bass strap as tight as it will go, because I'm a firm believer I need that for bellow control. So these are some things, just some easy little things that you can do, and they'll give you a chance to evaluate where are you at in this scheme. The other thing too is there's a lot of things. Look, I copied the bellows section, or your bellows behavior section, right out of the manual from the Roland 8X. And you have a lot of options here. What are your initial settings? How about, your dynamic bellows behavior? Now on the Evo, and I know that I just took delivery from my friends at Potosa of a Roland 4X. They actually use, and the Bugari Evo does too, uses an air screw. Now, I happen to like to flow a lot of air, okay? So I have this screw actually tight, it's screwed in. In other words, I'm flowing, I'm moving a lot of air because I am an accordion player. And that also affects, what my preference is. The other thing that I get into conversation with some folks is, okay, what type of a bellows curve? And in future episodes, I'm going to have an accordion set up, or one of the digitals set up with, an actual screenshot where you can see you know, how I go through those settings. But one of the things that I play on light or extra light, as far as for my bellows curve type. And that's really because I want to get the maximum amount of expression I can. And the other thing to remember too is it's personal. It's what you like. Again, it's your instrument. So are you relaxed when you play? How about tension? Tension is another killer. I always say that tension is what really separates, a professional from somebody who's really struggling. If you're up there and if you're in front of people, if you're playing and if you're all tensed up, okay, and your fingers aren't moving, obviously you're not going to be performing, to what your potential is. And when I have students that send me lessons and I listen to them, that's why I'm a firm believer in an audio lesson with the accordion, because I can hear so much more. I don't need to see, especially with somebody who's been playing a little while. You can tell. Record yourself. I can tell when somebody is fighting their accordion, when their accordion is not correctly set up, when they've got the bellows set up too tight on a digital. I can tell when they're strapped, when they're moving around, and I can tell also if they're clobbering the keyboard, which you heard a little bit of in Moon River, but that when I'm, if I'm trying to attack so much and doing, these types of things, I guarantee you that there is tension. There's tension in the setup. And now, which brings me to this almost was my first slide. I have to ask you, and you have to ask yourself, are you inspired by your instrument? When you first put on that accordion, whether it's an acoustic accordion, whether it's a digital accordion, it makes no difference, either one. When you put it on, are you inspired to play it? If you do not experience some sort of instrument or instant gratification out of that, it's going to be difficult to play the instrument. So in that case, what I've done is, in fact, I will do it exactly right now. Let me bring myself up on the screen here and see if I can show you exactly what I do. Okay. So as you can see that, it's good to see everybody again. How you doing? I'm going to turn my accordion off. And I am going to turn it right back on. And as we hear it going through its boot up sequence, it says hello and all the other nice things that these do. The first thing I need to be able to do is turn this thing on and be able to play it. Okay? So I'm going to... That's my immediate setting. I can tell you that I have only the reverb knob on. Reverb is to taste because I've taken a lot of time to program some of these voices in here, Moving up and up. You can always polka. But I have my master. I'm set all the way up to even. to a flute sound, a couple of bass. But the main thing I'm getting at right here is that this accordion has just been turned on. Okay, and it sounds good. It sounds good. I like it. You know, the hundreds of hours I've put into this really doesn't make a big difference. It's just that when I get the instrument in the way I've set it up, and by going through just these simple steps, really basic things, okay, I'm able to get an instrument that inspires me to want to play. You know, regardless what I'm playing or who the group is, I have something that I like that I'm going to be able to play. But I can play, and I'm happy. I'm a happy camper. I have to make, you know, a statement here that if you're playing the digital accordion, number one, I hear a lot of people saying, well, I'm not into technology and I don't like that, you know, and that's just not my thing. You know, I can't even get my email open, and I fight with my phone and all that. Unfortunately, you've got to assume some ownership in that technology when you're playing the digital accordion, or you've got to make a decision. You can learn the basics enough to get comfortable with your instrument. You can buy the rest. There are some wonderful setups out there, UPGs. You know, Richard Noel has inspired so many people on the digital accordion. At GDTLC, we're going to be coming out with our collection here at the end of September to augment, you know, some of the other offerings that are there in Richard's offerings. Because really, we're just trying to keep people inspired. It's not a competition. You know, it's how do we share, how do we inspire? But you ultimately have to assume that there is going to be some type of technology ownership that you're going to have to learn. And even if it's to a basic level, but you're still going to spend an incredibly amount of time doing it. The other thing is, and I have this talk with a lot of my students too, you got to remember, there are no magic bullets. You can't go out there and you can't buy the best accordion. You can't buy all these you know sets and UPGs and other programs and books and you know things without making a dedication yourself. And that dedication is to practice. Some of us need a little bit more practice than others. We all have varying degrees of talent. But remember, there's nothing out there that you can buy that's boom, is going to be the instant inspiration that makes you become the player that you've been admiring for so long. It's going to take work. So, what's coming up? Well, I can tell you this. In episode 2, we are going to have a guest, and most of you know Joe Natoli. Joe is a great asset to the accordion community, the accordion world. You know, he's got too many championships to count, and he's really, although he's now playing the digital only, he's both an acoustic and a digital virtuoso player. The other thing we want to talk about is we want Joe to give us a little bit more insight into the Ideas Group. You know, the Ideas Group has been a great resource, so much so that we have even taken the opportunity to combine with them to share, some of our, common interests and make some offerings through them as well. And I'll bring that up on the next slide too. We want to know what's IDEA's going to be doing. There is going to be the upcoming symposium that Joe will probably, if we can just get him to give us a little bit more information, maybe, about the month down the road here when we do another episode, we'll be able to know a little bit more what's working and what's going to be coming up. But what we've done is, through the encouragement and cooperation, we came out specifically with an arrangement collection of some of Gary's arrangements and some of mine. And we put together this popular arrangements, which is a special compilation for the Ideas group. And basically what Ideas members need to do is simply contribute an acoustic accordion sound, or a set, or, a bank, or a UPG. We're not, it's just, we want it to be basically about, the acoustic. So they've already had some submissions coming in. We've got the books ready, and these books are going to go again. I say, we are about giving back. These books are going to be given to people who participate in this. And there's no strings attached here. We're asking you to help us, because what we'd like to do is build this online sharing community, which I think is really going to be pretty cool in the end. So when are we going to be coming back at you next? Well, I'll tell you what. We'll see how y'all enjoy this one. And then we'll just say when our audience, because you are number one, when you request it, we'll be back. And in the interim, we want to make sure that everybody remembers, please stay safe, practice smart, visit our website, and make sure you leave your comments and questions and suggestions. Try to stay positive with us, and we will be incorporating them into future episodes. So with that, I think I have to take you out here with a song that goes back a little bit to my, what would I call it here? I guess I would call it my very, very beginning playing years. A little bit of Credence. I left a good job in the city, working for a man every night and day, and I never lost 1 minute of sleeping, worrying about the way things might have been. Big wheels keep on turning, I say proud Mary, keep on burning, and I'm rolling, rolling, rolling on a river. Rolling, rolling, rolling on a river. Well, I cleaned a lot of plates in Memphis, pumped a lot of pain in New Orleans, and I never saw the good side of the city till I hit you right on the baby boat queen. Big wheel keep on turning, I say proud Mary, keep on burning, and I'm rolling, rolling, rolling on a river. Rolling, rolling, rolling on a river. Well, now if you come down to the river, bet you're gonna find some people who live. You don't have to worry 'cause you have no money, but people on the river are happy to give. Big wheel, keep on turning. I said, proud Mary, keep on moving. And I'm rolling, rolling, rolling on a river. Rolling, rolling, rolling on a river. Thank you and good night.